Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, I guess Canada's Prime Minister, little CCP Carney over here, he thought that it was all fun and games, it was all politics. And then the moment he got elected, right after the Canadian federal election, that things would simply go back to normal, and Donald Trump all of a sudden would go easy on him. But obviously, if you know anything about the president, that was never going to happen, and exactly like I predicted months ago, Canada's behavior was going to end up sabotaging the whole ordeal, because as we know, President Trump never forgets. And well, here we go. Mr. CCP Carney, the guy who was supposed to get the job done in negotiations with President Trump, well, he's now sabotaged the whole ordeal, and US-Canada trade negotiations are now reset to point zero. President Trump is going hard on Canada, and honestly, after the latest decision, I think he has every reason to do so. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so in a massive slap to American tech companies, Canada's new globalist government under Mark Carney just recently announced a digital services tax that's purposely aimed and only targeted at US tech firms. In other words, the exact same thing that the UK just dropped, the main point of contention in US/British trade talks, the one thing the president vehemently disagreed with the most, well, Canada's genius prime minister just came in and said, you know what, that's exactly where we're gonna started these negotiations. And holy frickin' moly is the president pissed. President Trump writes this on Truth Social. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing, and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada, effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And so it's right back to big old tariffs on America's younger socialist brother of the North. And again, I think it's totally justified. President Trump is right to call it a blatant attack on American innovation and tech leadership. You don't just get to leech off US companies for decades and then turn around and hit them with extra taxes. It's obvious what Canada's trying to do here. They've probably got themselves in a little bit of a tax slump after destroying private industry in their own nation. And so, what are they doing? What's the genius solution? It's not pulling back taxes. It's not unleashing Canadian resources and the entrepreneurial spirit. No, it's using American businesses as their personal ATM machine. That's exactly what this is. And you know what's the craziest thing of all? Who do you think's getting screwed here? Is it America? Is Mark Carney taking it to Donald Trump? No, it's the Canadian people who are getting screwed. Canadians, especially young Canadians, are living through the worst cost of living crisis in the modern world. I mean, they're at the top of every list that you don't want to be at the top of. And at the core of all of it is government burdens and gatekeeping. Taxes and regulation are through the frickin' roof. And so in the last Canadian federal election, you had the majority of young people voting for change. But nope, the Canadian boomer class has come in and they've sent a very clear message to all the Canadian people who are struggling. They said, worse trade relations with the United States and more taxes. Oh, it's just genius. Rebel News' Ezra Levant doesn't seem so thrilled.
Breaking news, Donald Trump has just said he is canceling all trade talks with Canada. Sort of a shocking announcement, and his reason is that Mark Carney has said he's going to tax the internet, a digital services tax, and those taxes will fall on U.S. companies. Whether it's Netflix or Twitter, we don't know the details yet, but Donald Trump is having none of it. And to make his point, he's saying he will cease all trade talks with Canada until Carney withdraws. Now, that's Trump's point of view, but look, put yourself in the shoes of an ordinary Canadian, which you are. We don't want this digital services tax either. We do not want an internet tax, not on Netflix, not on Facebook, not on Twitter. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, we don't want to pay another tax. But even more importantly, we do not want to set the precedent that Mark Carney gets to regulate the internet. I don't know if you remember, but in the last parliament, Justin Trudeau introduced the Online Harms Act, a vicious censorship law, the strictest in the world. Literally, it had North Korea-style punishments in it, including life in prison. There's no life in prison for anything in Canada. Now, that dissolved when Justin Trudeau dissolved the last parliament. But if you look at Mark Carney's Heritage Department, they say their number one strategic priority for this this year is bringing back that internet regulation. We got to get our trade deal back on track with the United States. Don't give Mark Carney any more tax money. We've got to stop him from getting the precedent of regulating the internet. If he taxes it today, he'll censor it tomorrow.
I think he hit the nail on the head that it's not just President Trump who doesn't want to see this tax. It's probably the Canadian people too, especially considering what little CCP Mark Carney ran on in the first place. One of his key promises was backing off on the carbon tax to give people tax relief, but instead he only temporarily artificially reduced the carbon tax while maintaining the law itself, and then comes in and drops even more taxes while provoking trade wars with America, the world's economic and military superpower. I mean, it's absolute clown behavior. And basically, it's more doubling down on this new age political worldview, which seems to be centered around this very smart economic strategy of totally squeezing the middle class dry. Holy frickin' moly, it's called the compounding tax effect. You make some money and not only do you get hit with an income tax, no, that's just step one. Then you get hit with a massive sales tax. Then there's all kinds of hidden taxes on everything from your gas consumption to your internet bill, excise tax, carbon tax, state and municipal taxes. I mean, the list never ends. Then, of course, all the money you worked for gets hit with a capital gains tax, which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Justin Trudeau was trying to increase, on top of trying to apply a, quote, luxury tax. And then, of course, when you die and you want to leave your money and everything you worked hard for to your family, you get hit with an inheritance tax, the estate tax. It's tax on tax on tax on tax on tax on tax. And now on top of all of it, they want an internet tax. Talk about a compounding effect. Well, this in the Western world is exactly what's destroying the middle class. You earn $1 and the government takes almost the entire damn thing by the end of it. You know, you only think you're paying a 30% income tax, but by the end of it, you're probably getting like significantly less than half of what you actually earned. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, what a freaking mistake it was to vote based on your Trump derangement syndrome. You voted for better times and instead you get this. Yeah, I think the Canadian people at this point are paying the price for electing another empty suit globalist politician whose entire platform was "I'll take on Trump," and now the second he opens his mouth, it's right back to a full-blown trade war. No relief, no solutions, just more taxes and more problems. Meanwhile, the American economy is ready to frickin' fly, ready to take a rocket like Elon Musk's SpaceX. You know, people always say elections have consequences, voting has consequences. Well, I guess in this case, voting stupidly seems to have major consequences. Talk about electoral backfire. Here's the message, I guess. Canadian voters, you played yourselves.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.